This is a theory, a direction I've never taken before, and that actually means something because I've speculated a lot. In some ways, this is going to be the opposite of everything you may believe that the story has been telling you. In other ways, this theory is going to be exactly what you always thought, what intuitively makes sense. But yeah, today's objective is simple, but at the same time daunting. It's going to be a long one, so strap yourselves in, because we're going to try to reveal the Void Century. Hey YouTube, Joeboy here. So, if you haven't checked out my last video, Emu's Nature and Tequila Wolf, The Meaning of Freedom, now is a good time. In many ways, the two videos are related and build off of each other. I wouldn't say that it's like required, but I do think that it will add something to the experience, so the link for it will be in the description if you are interested. But yeah, if your patience is short for theories and discussions, I highly recommend that you stay here, because that video is more of a teaser. It asks questions more than anything else. This is the creme. But unfortunately, before we can get into new theories, we first have to cover old theories. Theories that I personally talked about on my channel. So in many ways, this is going to be a mega theory. If you know all these theories by heart, you've been following me for long enough and closely enough, then I would recommend checking out this section that I'm going to title Binks Sake, and I'll include a link in the description for a timestamp of where I get into new stuff. But yeah guys, I really want to do these theories right because I find that they are absolutely crucial. The Ancient Kingdom is like this mysterious entity within the One Piece world. We learn of them from Professor Clover. During Robin's flashback, it was this great technologically advanced kingdom that fell during the Void Century during a conflict with the 20 Kings, who later went on to form the world government and became celestial dragons. But yeah, we don't know too much about the Ancient Kingdom, but from what we do, I think we can speculate something interesting and surprising about them. Most important, the Ancient Kingdom created the poneglyphs. Through this, we know that it's likely that the Kozuki family from Wano were members of or friends with the Ancient Kingdom. They were the ones who actually created the poneglyphs. Poneglyphs which describe the story of the Ancient Kingdom. I think that a lot of people assume this kingdom to be something standard, ordinary. A great kingdom is, a great kingdom. But perhaps not. I want you to look at the Kozuki family crest, their symbol. What does it look like to you? To me, it looks almost like, very similar to, a Jolly Roger, a symbol of pirates. It may be missing the trademarked skull, but I believe we can clearly see what would typically be your crossed bones. In addition, I believe it's important. It is the Kozuki tradition to tattoo their symbol onto their subordinates, onto their vassals, just like a pirate crew would. So given the connection between the Kozuki and the Ancient Kingdom, my question for you is this: was the Ancient Kingdom actually a kingdom of pirates? And would the king of this kingdom be called the Pirate King? The Ancient Kingdom was very clearly travelers and masters of the sea, in my opinion. We know this if for no other reason than they spread the poneglyphs telling their story all across the world in the Grand Line. They found the Binks up in Zou, the island no log pose leads to. They traveled to the sea floor and made friends with the fishermen and the mermaids there. The Grand Line, the most difficult to sail sea, they placed poneglyphs all along it, on every route. And aside from Gold Roger, 800 years later, they were the only ones able to find Laughtail. They were masters of the sea. And these weren't just one-off voyages as they were defeated. The countries and people who possess the stones today are guarding them. We learn of this ancient duty from the Shandorians during the Skypiea arc. To be guarding these stones with the risk involved suggests that the people were friends with the Ancient Kingdom. This kingdom had friends spanning the entire Grand Line, if not the entire world. The kingdom as a whole, their very identity, in my opinion, must be associated with travel. But maybe you have a question. The Ancient Kingdom is supposed to be technologically advanced, right? Well, looking at official material, and the best translations I can find, that is not an accurate translation. The Ancient Kingdom was merely powerful and great. Nothing specifically about advanced technology aside from the existence of the ancient weapons, one of which we know is actually a person. But let's assume them to be technologically advanced anyway. Well, as travelers, pirates have the opportunity to visit islands and meet people from across the world. Particular countries can have specialties, say a kingdom of the best doctors, scientists, cooks, or musicians, archaeologists, shipbuilders, inventors, and weather experts. A kingdom of pirates can learn from and take the very best this world has to offer, all combined into one place. This is the most technologically advanced kingdom because of shared knowledge. And they can obtain this information while others can't because they were masters of travel and masters of the sea. I think it's also important to know a huge community speculation is that the family D are the direct descendants of the ancient kingdom. I think that we know this for a variety of reasons. There are many clues, but we know that the poneglyphs explain the nature of D from Odin's flashback from Roger's journey. Robin also teases at the end of Skypiea that the meaning of the D was another lost history. The D has ties to the Void Century. More specifically, they are tied to the ancient kingdom. Initially, I think people are likely to assume that the D's to be one giant blood-related family, but this can't be. In Robin's flashback, we meet a giant, Jaguar D. Saul, who is a giant. I think it's pretty likely that the D family is not blood-related. The D is a symbolic initial passed down from those who survived the kingdom's destruction. We also, I think, learn here that the ancient kingdom was composed of many differing races and tribes, which again makes sense as they were well traveled. But they weren't just visiting islands across the world, but recruiting other countries' citizens, which is very pirate-like. And don't forget that one of the ancient weapons used or controlled by the ancient kingdom was a ship, Pluton. The other was a mermaid princess or woman of the sea, Poseidon. Two things I would say make sense as incredible weapons for a kingdom of seafarers of pirates.
Yo, yo, yo.
And then we have Binks Sake, the Song of the Ancient Pirates, the song we are first introduced to through Brooke. This would be a great time to whip out Google and find the lyrics of this song for yourself. I can't put all the lyrics here on screen, but I believe it to be the most important clue in all of One Piece. Binks Sake tells a story about a journey from beginning to end. The story begins with a group of people riding their ship, delivering Binks Sake to the ends of the world. But they come across many obstacles. If you lose your nerve, this breath could be your last. But if you just hold on, the morning sun will rise. But the people in the song failed. They never made it to the morning sun. Today and tomorrow are dreams through the night. Waving our goodbyes, we will never meet again. They are saying goodbye to their dreams. They will never meet again. But don't look so down, for tomorrow night the moon will also rise. The song is telling them not to worry. Even if they fail, there will be another day. Another day will pass. Another person will try. It's the inherited will. Your dreams are passed to the next generation. I believe this song to be created by the ancient kingdom. They were the ancient pirates who sang it. I believe the song exists to inspire the next generations of pirates, those who will come long after they had passed. I also think that this song is directly describing the will of D and its meaning. Seek adventure, follow your dreams, and set sail. Journey to the ends of the sea, to the ends of the world, and deliver Binks Sake. But what exactly is Binks Sake? Some of the language of this song sticks out to me. The journey is told as if it took place in just one night. We start the story with the merry evening sun. If you just hold, the morning sun will rise. The morning sun marks the end to this journey. Another word for morning sun, guys, is the dawn. The dawn that Pedro and the Minks are waiting for, just as the pirates delivering Binks Sake. Or using slightly different words, the path to the sun, as we hear it at Fishman Island. I believe that the path to the sun is the same as the journey to the dawn. But in the Fishman's case, the path to the sun is very obvious that they want to live on the surface. They want to live under the sun, not at the depths of the sea. Remember the Kozuki clan emblem that looks very similar to a Jolly Roger? The skull is missing, but in its place we have 3 different symbols. I only really want to focus on one of them, but we have a crane, 8 revolving orbs, both symbols I think are probably important, and we have the sun. Or perhaps a sunflower, which I think would be about the same, where Wano has a lot of flower symbolism as well. So it would be a combination. The song also seems to give importance to the night. Tomorrow night the moon will also rise. Aside from the Kozuki clan emblem, their other symbol is the crescent moon. And to take this even further, the moon in this song represents the inherited will. Tomorrow night the moon will also rise, a new day, a new journey, but the same dream. If you view the night as kind of the journey, as time itself, then what the moon is it's a constant light during the darkness. It's your dream. It's what guides you. Inherited will. Does the moon also represent the will of D? In this case, the inherited will of the ancient kingdom. These pirates sang of the dawn? Perhaps here there is no better connection to the lost history, the family D, the poneglyphs, and pirates. Never ending, ever wandering, our funny traveling tale.
Yo ho, yo ho, yo ho, yo ho.
I learned this from an OG theorist back a long time ago, but sake has huge symbolic meaning in Japan. People in Japan drink sake from birth until death, so sake could very well represent life. Or another way to think about it is the journey of life from beginning to end, or the story of someone's life. The song wants these pirates to deliver Binks sake, but perhaps we could translate it to say, going to deliver Binks' story. Is Binks' story one and the same as the story that the poneglyphs tell? The story that once Roger read, he laughed. Our funny traveling tale. Is this song cryptically about setting out to sea in order to find all of the poneglyphs to deliver Binks' story? As Roger wrote on the golden pillar in Skypiea, I made it here. I will deliver this text to the ends of the earth. And in Binks' sake, waves of gold and silver dissolve to salty spray as we all set sail to the ends of the sea, going to deliver Binks' sake. But sake also holds another meaning, as we see with Luffy, Ace, and Sabo, and later with the Straw Hat Pirates and the Grand Fleet. Those who share sake cups become brothers. In another important theory, we connect the makers of the poneglyphs, the ancient kingdom, with the many races and tribes of the world. We find poneglyphs in Zou and Fishman Island. One of the ancient weapons of the ancient kingdom was Poseidon, a mermaid princess. Before the Void Century, the Doflamingo family of Dressrosa enslaved the Tontada. They called it their era of slavery. We also learned that the fishmen did not always live on the seafloor. They once had a home above the sea, and they were forced there by humans. Zou, the elephant, is about 1,000 years old. Where the minks lived before this, we do not know. I speculate that in the years just prior to the Void Century, many non-humans, minks, fishmen, dwarves, etc., were oppressed and enslaved. In order to escape this, if they actually could, several sought homes away from humans. Given that I think that we can theorize that this was the climate of the world just before the Void Century, maybe it has something to do with the lost history itself. Maybe this was a part of the war. The celestial dragons, descendant of the 20 kings, creators of the world government, to this day buy slaves. The ancient kingdom were clearly friends with these people. Perhaps the ancient kingdom, pirates of their time, hoped to create a world in which everybody could live together peacefully. They wished to deliver Binks' sake to the ends of the sea, to the ends of the world. Is this a metaphor for brotherhood? They wished to deliver brotherhood, unity, togetherness, peace to the world. We know for a fact that Joy Boy, who is likely the leader of the ancient kingdom, created a poneglyph of apology which he left in Fishman Island, an apology to Poseidon, the mermaid princess of her time. We can learn from context clues through the Fishman Island arc and Neptune that what he was apologizing for was not being able to lead the fishermen up to the surface, where they longed to live. This in fact is likely the purpose of the great ship the Noah. He couldn't deliver them unity. They are still segregated, separated. To me, it's no coincidence that the only place you find all of the races of the world in one place are pirate ships. Look at Luffy's crew plus the Grand Fleet. Most of the major races are accounted for. The D initial is shared by unrelated peoples from all over the world. Were they forever bonded? Did they become brothers by sharing sake cups? You probably think that we should be done by now, but we are not. Again, guys, I'm being as thorough as possible. You need to believe this in order for us to move forward. And another theory, I argued that it was possible the ancient kingdom was inspired by the pirate legend of Libertalia. If you don't know, Oda is often inspired by historical pirates and related lore. For instance, Gold D. Roger's final words, and perhaps the poneglyphs to some extent, were inspired by the last words of the pirate Olivier Levasseur. It's important to note here, it is not certain whether the legend of Libertalia is historical fact or just a myth, but the story goes that Libertalia was an anarchist colony founded in the late 17th century in Madagascar by pirates. Here is a quote about it. These pirates would be vigilant guardians of the people's rights and liberties. They would stand as barriers to the rich and powerful of their day by waging war on behalf of the oppressed against the oppressors. They would see that justice was equally distributed. In short, Libertalia was a utopia created by pirates. They stood against the monarchy, slavery, and capital. They were known for attacking slave ships and recruiting the slaves recruited from them to their colony. It was stated that the leader of this pirate colony often had crews that were half white and half black, or in One Piece terms, half human and half not. They insisted every man was born free, and would have as much right to what would support him as the air he respired. The Pirates of Libertalia, a well-known legend, are exactly what I speculate the ancient kingdom, the creators of the poneglyphs, to be like. And here for me is the nail in the coffin. Libertalia was believed to have created their very own language. Poneglyphs? But to this day, nobody is actually sure where Libertalia actually was. Laugh tale? But let's continue. There was a historical pirate known as Henry Avery. Henry Avery in his time was the most notorious pirate. He earned his infamy by becoming one of the few major pirate captains who successfully retired with his loot, without being arrested or killed in battle. And also for being the perpetrator of one of the most profitable pirate raids in history, a single raid in which he made $52 million in today's money. But the short story here is that Henry Avery became notorious, and eventually he had to disappear and go into hiding. No one is entirely sure what happened to him, but there are accounts of him going to Libertalia and becoming its leader. Henry Avery was dubbed by his contemporaries as the King of the Pirates. The King of the Pirates, ruling over a colony of free, heroic pirates. Again, that is exactly what I've speculated. So not only do we have an abundance of evidence from the story of One Piece itself, logical conclusions I believe that we can reach, but we also have an old pirate legend which could have inspired Oda in the first place. So it is my opinion, based on all of this, that the ancient kingdom was a great kingdom of pirates. I really hope that this was persuasive. It needs to be, because you have to assume that this is true. I think that the 20 Kings are a lot more complex than the fandom gives them credit for. Certainly, there's a reason to believe that they were the villains of the Void Century, and even before this, we have argued that they have oppressed and enslaved the non-humans, which itself could have been an impetus for war. However, one family doesn't, and never has, made any sense. The Nefertari family of Alabasta are technically celestial dragons. They were part of the 20 Kings all those years ago, but at the conclusion of the Void Century, unlike the other kings, they did not become gods. They did not go to Merijois. They stayed in Alabasta. They are the ones we can be certain did not fit the mold. But perhaps it's even more confusing than this. This used to be a somewhat controversial speculation, and I kind of wonder whether that's changed since it's been a while since I've talked about it. But if you remember, there was a poneglyph in Alabasta. Koba tells Robin that they had been guarding it, but Robin, who knows of their past as part of the 20 Kings, literally laughs in his face. She doesn't believe they were guarding the stone. She doesn't actually say, but I think it can be inferred. She believes that they wanted the weapon's location it revealed. They wanted Pluton. However, guys, Robin may not believe them, but I do. I think that the Nefertari family was actually guarding this poneglyph, just as all the other countries who protect poneglyphs. And just like all these other countries, they don't really know why or for what purpose. It's just a sacred duty handed down to them. I really only have two reasons for this belief, but these two reasons are enough for me. The first of which is that it is implied that not only does the poneglyph in Alabasta indicate the location of Pluton, but that the Pluton's location itself, where you could actually find the ancient weapon, this supposed ship, is in Alabasta somewhere. This is what the story suggests. If the Nefertari family of old wished to acquire the Pluton and use it against the world or use it for their own purposes, and it is actually located in their country, I believe that they would have done so. We are of course assuming here that the Pluton can be found in Alabasta because the Nefertari family put it there. They found it. The other possibility here is that the ancient kingdom specifically left the Pluton there. It was intentional. Do you think that it is any coincidence that a country would possess the poneglyph which marks the location of Pluton and the Pluton itself without having found it? This poneglyph and the Pluton were both left in Alabasta because Alabasta was an ally to the ancient kingdom. And a part of me really likes this speculation. Of course, it's possible that the Nefertari family has changed. We've seen this before. For instance, the Doflamingo family, famous in the past for enslaving the Tantara. Today, we have members of this family, Corazon, Mosgard, and Homing, who seem to be decent people, or were decent people. So perhaps the Nefertari family was evil in the past, but I do like this connection, this parallel of Alabasta and the Nefertari family sort of playing this balance between the world of pirates and the world of the nobles. This also makes for a pretty persuasive argument as to why they didn't join the other celestial dragons in Merijois. But my second reason is this: if you look at the Alabasta flag, a particular symbol might jump out to you. 8 orbs placed in a circle. It is in fact the very same symbol we find on the Kozuki clan emblem. They both use the same symbol. Are they related in some way? And actually looking into it more, the same symbol is shared by the Shandorians. At this time, I really don't want to share my thoughts as to what this symbol means. I don't think that it's important for this particular video. All that matters is that it connects the two groups. The Kozuki, related to the ancient kingdom. The Nefertari, a member of the 20 kings. Were they friends or were they traitors? Pirates. I think this is something that is most demonstrable from the manga itself, from the story itself. The only organization on this planet that could actually defeat the world government in all-out war is pirates. Edward Newgate, Whitebeard, old and sick, had the Marines trembling, both in actuality and metaphorically. As just one Yonko of 4, while not at full strength, he could single-handedly engage the entire government in combat. Even though he was at a disadvantage, what if another Yonko and crew fought with him? What if a third joined? What if they all did? I think that the pirates would win. And I think that the government knows this. That is why they recruited pirates, warlords, despite despising them and in some ways fearing them. It was a necessary evil to ensure that they could compete if they were attacked by a mighty, allied group of pirates. As the Shichibukai were being gathered and called to Marineford, we learned that this was their entire purpose. The Shichibukai basically didn't have to follow any of the rules that the world government gave them, aside from the summons to Marineford. This is why they gained clemency, to fight other pirates, when Shanks and Whitebeard met to discuss Blackbeard. And later when Big Mom and Kaido did much of the same, the Marines and the government freaked out. Why? Well, I think there could be several reasons, but most significantly is the possibility of alliance. They fear pirates. So on one hand, this helps support the idea that pirates must have held significance during the Void Century. As they are powerful today, I believe that the same would be true of the past. And as we speculate, they were the ancient kingdom themselves. But on the other hand, the world government's fear of pirates is very justified. And to the entire world, the rise of pirates would be very alarming. In the one-shot version of One Piece called Romance Dawn, before One Piece was officially serialized, I believe we can find some clues to the nature of the story Oda always wanted to tell from the very beginning. This is kind of like an alternate version of One Piece where we meet characters like Garp, who are actually pirates. If you are watching Wano in the anime, this was actually animated in episode 907 and totally worth a watch. But what we're talking about, what's important here is that in this one shot, there are 2 distinct types of pirates. Peace Main, like a Luffy, or Morganeers, like a Blackbeard. It's very specifically defined. One was to adventure, the other wants to conquer. Luffy states in this one shot that his objective is to recruit other Peace Main pirates. And that as a Peace Main pirate, it's part of his job to fight and steal from Morganeers. Now, why these terms no longer exist in the actual One Piece story is debatable. On one hand, many pirates exhibit attributes of both groups. It's not black or white, it's not so simple as being one or the other. There's many places in between, and so for that reason the classifications are kind of outdated. On the other hand, I also think that it's a very important concept that Oda didn't want to handle so obviously. Pirates as a collective group are not all friends. They aren't all ideologically the same. Some of them were always meant to be enemies, and I believe this is how it has always been. I think in general we like to lump the pirates together as one group, but really even without the classifications there has always been two ideologies. One of these may be of no harm to the world like Luffy, Shanks, or Roger, but the other is very much a threat. Imagine if Kaido, Blackbeard, or Big Mom succeeded and conquered the world. Is that really better than the current state the world is in? Absolutely not. In fact, I think it is definitely much, much worse. Apply what has happened to the country of Wano to the entire world. That is the immediate future with Kaido as king. He even says it outright, he wants to destroy this world. I think in this way, the government, who fear and actively try to control the pirates, they are doing the world a favor, non-sarcastically. Every pirate that they capture has about a 50-50 or better shot at making the world a slightly better place. We persecute them for antagonizing the Strats, who we know are the good guys. But the Strats fly a pirate flag. The skull and crossbones means danger. In the government's eyes, they need to be treated as the enemy. Kind of like some of us unintentionally do, the government lumps all the pirates together. The two ideologies become one group, one kingdom that must be destroyed. And whether you like it or not, this in fact could be helping to make the world a better place. So we speculated that the ancient kingdom of old was a kingdom of pirates, but what kind of pirates were they? I think that we can argue pretty reasonably based on what I've said so far that they must have been peace-main pirates. But pirates have always been complex. There are many varying reasons to want to go out to sea. I believe the ideologies have always existed. Were some of them peace-main, while others Morganeers. I want to preface this with this thought. I personally believe Emu is as old as the Void Century. He was alive during the Void Century. I think a lot of people believe this. I don't really feel like arguing, it's just my general feeling. If it was somebody before Emu, then I assume that it's his father and it's just a long line of Emus. Let's just go with it like that for now. But anyway, what is Emu's nature? On one hand, he erases people from history and has committed how many other atrocities we don't even know. On the other hand, Oda depicts him as what can only be interpreted as thoughtful, perhaps wise, and gentle. We speculated in the last video, could Emu perhaps be doing what he feels is best for the world? A lesser evil, so to speak. He desires to control the world for its own benefit. And certainly in the process, freedoms are lost, but freedoms are simultaneously gained. If the world government were to lose its grip, it is natural that the next great power would take its place. Pirates. Assuming that they aren't fighting themselves and someone has come out as the king, as the strongest pirate alive. If the world government were to fall, they would rule the world. This is a future that the world government, in fact the very citizens of the world itself, cannot allow. Pirates cannot be trusted, and the strongest pirate will not always be symbiotic with the various people. I want you guys to understand that I understand. The government is for sure corrupted. Straight up, it don't smell good. But is this still significantly better than the alternative? If Emu were to take action against the celestial dragons, if this were the world's will and the people would be better for it, would he be potentially risking the stability of the entire organization? And the government does appear to want to do good. Even outside of fighting pirates, which granted might just only be for their own self-preservation, but I don't think that they wanted to destroy Ohara, and they have for 300 years outlawed slavery for most people. That is a step in the right direction. They allowed the fishermen to attend the reverie. They made Jinbei a warlord of the sea in part to help with the tension between the two groups of people. They are definitely trying to do some things right. Regardless, whatever Emu does, if he really cares, he would have to be very careful. And I think he has tried to be one wrong step and it all goes up in flames. And I think the pirates will rise. Balance is fleeting. The law of entropy. The stronger the world government is, the greater the chance they can defend themselves in case of the worst. And I believe their fears to be very real. We like to look at this colonialism of the world government as a bad thing, but could it potentially be viewed as a good thing? We learned this very recently. As of 40 years ago in the story, the world was very nearly conquered by pirates. The Rocks pirates, consisting of some of the greatest pirates to have existed during the time. Rocks himself, Whitebeard, Big Mom, Kaido, Shiki, and many others. Rocks recruited all of these pirates, somehow, for some goal. The only real clue that we had seems to be an intention to fight directly against the world government. They attacked the Celestial Dragons at God Valley. Perhaps it was revenge, wealth, or an eclectic mix of all the possible reasons someone would have to gain from a war against the world nobles and the government. Regardless of the reason, this was exactly what the world government has feared. I do not think that the Rocks pirates were Peacemain pirates. It is stated that Rock's objective was to become king of the world. He wished to conquer. He was a Morganeer. This is the world government's greatest enemy, a kingdom of pirates. And so who exactly defeated Rocks? Who saved the world from almost certain destruction? Gold D. Roger and Monkey D. Garp. Pirates and Marines. So I think that we have finally reached the crux of this theory, where we have been heading this entire time. Is the events at God Valley a reflection of the past? Is this a parallel to the Void Century? During the Void Century, did the 20 kings, founders of the world government, and the Peacemain pirates of their time, Joyboy and the creators of the poneglyphs, save the world from certain destruction at the hands of the most powerful pirate or pirates of that time, the Morganeers? And is this climactic fight likely to repeat itself again, when inevitably Luffy fights Blackbeard? And whether you like it or not, I do wonder this. Did the 20 kings and Emu, in part, help save the world from pirates? Are they actually the heroes of the Void Century, as they would probably like you to believe? And afterwards, they set about to create a future for this world in which they could be protected from the future threat of pirates, knowing that the Great Kingdom would appear once again. And this time, the world needed to be prepared. I believe this to be the heart of the nature of conflict during the Void Century. This was what was erased. A pirate like Rocks, a pirate like Blackbeard, became so powerful that the world itself was threatened. Individual nations could not withstand their might. Only together, as 20 kingdoms, did they have a chance, but this was still not enough. Although they did not want it, pirates joined their side to fight for freedom. Fight for what was right. But I'm sure that you have this question. If this were the case, why would the government erase the history? I think that the government could not allow for this fight to inspire future generations of pirates. They could not defeat the pirates. They will appear again. Additionally, pirates helped save everyone in the first place. If this history were to be recorded and available to anyone, you might end up idolizing pirates. Pirates saved the world. We actually see them do this exact same thing again during God Valley. They erased God Valley from history entirely. Why? Gold D. Roger saved the world. The same exact history is voided once again. And I'm sure that you have noticed they do this time and time again. They don't want to give Luffy credit for the good that he does as a pirate, because it's dangerous. So the best that they could do, erase this knowledge from the annals of history. Hopefully then the pirates themselves would not be idolized, and the pirates would not know how strong they can be, how strong that they can become, how to push the world to its brink. And then you have the ancient weapons the world government clearly fears. I believe that at one time or another, the Peacemain pirates had possession and had an intention for all of these weapons. Fighting alongside the 20 kings, they would have seen their power. But most of these weapons, in my opinion, were not supposed to be weapons. They were not meant to fight. They all served some other purpose. And in my opinion, this purpose was to create a path to the sun, to bring about the dawn. This is why the poneglyph records and mentions the ancient weapons. They were intended to be used, but not to destroy the world. Yet we are led to believe that the Pluton can destroy entire islands. How would they know that? Was it ever used? Did it ever actually destroy an entire island? Did the Morganeers somehow obtain or steal one or more of the ancient weapons and use them? Is this the reason more than anything else that the government fears them? And if these weapons had another purpose, a destiny so to speak, I don't think that the Peace-Maned pirates would have given them up. In fact, in the wrong hands, which could have been the 20 kings as well, these weapons could wreak untold havoc. So the Peace-Manes hid them, for the time when their destiny could be fulfilled. Yet because of their existence, is just another reason the world government wished to erase the history. They did not want anyone to learn of them and seek them. This also would explain why the poneglyphs were created in the first place. I'm arguing that the creators of the poneglyph fought with the kings to defeat the evil. Shouldn't they have a shared vision? No. They fought together, but they do not share the same ideals. First and foremost, Peace-Maned pirates value freedom, and this includes the freedom of choice. These pirates dream of the dawn. They want to deliver Binks' sake. In my opinion, they had a plan to make this happen. But for some reason, it failed. My speculation here for why this would be the case is that perhaps the Peace-Manes chose the greater good. The fight versus the pirates, salvation of the world itself, rather than their own desires, the freedom of all people. In a way, they could have failed because of altruism. They inadvertently put a group into power, the 20 kings, who collectively had very different ideals. That is why Joy Boy failed. At the end of the Void Century, he only solved one of his problems. Or a different idea, maybe Joy Boy took out the slavers, but failed to stop the buyers, and the slavers were just replaced. A fun fact from history, but the actual historical Blackbeard and many pirates were actively slavers. The same holds true in One Piece. The person who owns the human auction house that Luffy attacked was Doflamingo, a pirate. Keep in mind that the ancient kingdom, the pirates themselves were supposed to be the travelers. They are the ones who are most likely going to come across these groups of people and enslave them. But you still have the problem of you have a market for them. You have buyers. So perhaps this is where you find the significance in the Great Kingdom and the creators of the poneglyphs. Through this idea of Libertalia, pirate heroes. But while pirate heroes existed, so too did the notorious villains. Yet they couldn't leave it to be lost to history. The poneglyphs tell of their story, their adventures, their funny traveling tales, their ideals and their goals. They left it in such a way that only pirates like themselves, adventurers and not conquerors, would be able to find it. They hoped that someone, someday, would find it and carry out their dreams. And if you are wondering how the Nefertari family could have been friends with the ancient kingdom, and wonder why they are protecting a poneglyph, here is your simple answer. They fought together. They became friends. I also highly suggest rereading the Alabasta arc, specifically the conclusion of that arc, because I think that there are many parallels to the ideas that I'm suggesting here in that arc. The revolution was wrong. The world government has had this delicate balance with pirates, I believe, for many years. And part of their strategy was to pit pirates against one another, contain them in a particular place, the New World, the Grand Line, and let them fight each other. There cannot be a pirate king when the pirates themselves are fractured, but it may go even further than this. Have you ever wondered why Shanks was able to meet with the Gorosei, offered them advice? Shanks additionally met with Whitebeard in order to advise him about Blackbeard. He also did not join in the fight against Marineford. He stopped it. Given the chance to take down the world government, with Whitebeard, who he clearly respected, he chose not to. In fact, he may very well have stopped Kaido from doing just that. In some ways, he let Whitebeard die, and I think that you could potentially argue that he warned him of this fact. He told him to not pursue Blackbeard. Does Shanks know the truth from his time with the Roger Pirates, that the government is actively trying to fight an even larger threat, and it's in the world's best interest to assist them? Is Shanks a guardian of the New World, who works with the government in order to try and maintain balance? His existence, simply put, is to prevent the rise of the Dark Pirate King. He is there, just as Roger, to join with the Marines to fight other pirates should the need arise. And why exactly did Roger start the golden era of piracy if he was worried about pirates destroying the world? Well, first, I doubt he was that worried. He's not Shanks. Roger is described to be a lot like Luffy, and I think that he, just as Luffy, can be a bit selfish and thoughtless at times. Kind of taking the enemy as they appear sort of mentality. But I also believe he read the true history, learned what the Peace-Manes of that time sought, and wanted to see that world. This was the one that Whitebeard tells us he was waiting for, that person which could bring about the dawn, deliver Binks' sake. I also suspect that he knew that his little adventure might create more good pirates than bad, more peace-main pirates. On one hand, I think that he actually wanted people to find the One Piece, but on the other hand, perhaps, it wouldn't matter if they couldn't. The treasure itself existed to lure adventurers and dreamers out to the sea. If a pirate threat were to arise, they, just like Roger, would fight it. In the ideological divide of pirates, I think, with his little journey, made the peace-main pirates stronger, and Whitebeard upon his death did the very same. I think that we can see this most clearly in Jaya, where Bellamy tells Luffy that the One Piece is some nonsense. Bellamy is the Morganeer. He doesn't think the same way that Luffy would, as peace-main pirates would. So what exactly am I saying? The pirates will team up with the government, defeat Blackbeard, and call it good? History will have repeated itself almost exactly 3 times, if not more? No, I don't think so. I think that this time, Luffy and Blackbeard will be something slightly, if not entirely, different. And a lot of this will have to do with the fact that Luffy will bring about the dawn. Something needs to occur to facilitate change. And I believe that the people that Oda placed in the story in order to facilitate this change the most are Akainu, the other admirals, and Monkey D. Dragon. In my opinion, one of the important turning points in this story was when Akainu defeated Aokiji to replace Sengoku as Fleet Admiral. You already know that that change was significant. It definitely has some sort of narrative purpose. I believe that the Gorosei and Imu were looking for someone more hardline. The pirates are as strong as ever, and you want to meet that fire with fire. And this may become even more true now that the Shichibukai are abolished and the balance of powers is even more out of place. I argued earlier that Imu was very careful, but I suspect he wasn't careful enough. Or maybe he's just become arrogant regarding the strength of the world government. Or maybe his fear of pirates led him to go too far in the wrong direction. In order to defeat Rocks, Roger and Garp teamed up. As we speculated, in order to defeat the Morganeers during the Void Century, the Peace Mains and the 20 Kings joined forces. In the short term, I believe Akainu will not allow such an event to occur again, at least not while he has any say. I believe that now he is in charge, and the warlords abolished, he will not be able to work alongside pirates, even if that had a purpose, even if that were to be necessary. I think that he hates them too much. I think that his justice is too unforgiving. Remember Shanks' actions during Marineford? We speculate him to be working with the government. He is at least partly their ally. Akainu was going to attack him and start a second war if it weren't for the direct order from Sengoku. And truthfully here, given the same situation, I wonder if that would even work a second time. I think that he is out for blood, wherever that may be. And I would speculate that this leads to, in large part, a great collapse for the Marines and the world government. Akainu will do something that leads to the downfall of the Marines. And I think that this could realistically happen during Kaido's arc, especially if Blackbeard makes an appearance. This could be something as simple as, after the defeat of Kaido, Akainu doesn't stop fighting. He then turns his attention to Shanks, who has arrived, to play the same role that he played in Marineford, to be there in case he's needed. And during the second fight, the Marines greatly weakened, the red-haired pirates the same, Blackbeard comes, and Blackbeard wins. And then we have the Revolutionary Army and Monkey D. Dragon. I definitely think that they'll have a part to play in the destabilization of the world government. Something that has always bothered me, how exactly are the revolutionaries wrong? Like, it seems like a strange question, but if their path was the way, Luffy would probably be a revolutionary. They have to have something wrong. They are not the heroes of the story. For me, a satisfying answer to this question is that they are wrong due to their hatred of the government. It's blinded them. Focused on their evils, they have disregarded the important role they play in the world's stability. Perhaps it could be a little ironic, the world government having erased the history in order to prevent the pirates from realizing their true power. At the same time, they've hidden their very own nature, the importance of the organization themselves, why they even existed in the first place. I personally believe that Shanks has it right. Given the opportunity to defeat the world government, to defeat the Marines, Shanks chose not to. The revolutionaries will not choose this. The strength that the government has built up over 800 years will deteriorate, and a Morganeer like Blackbeard will have the opportunity to seize the reins. But yeah, in conclusion, while all of this seems bad, I also think that this situation offers an opportunity, a chance for change. You've got to burn it down to build it up. This could help lead to the dawn, which I speculate is peace between the humans and the non-humans. And including other theories, the destruction of the Red Line, joining all the four seas again together to form the All Blue, connecting all of the various people from across the world. The fishmen will come back onto the surface, the minks will come down from Zo, the giants and the dwarves will come out of isolation, the celestial dragons will be taken down from their throne, and the world will have a brief moment, an opportunity to be rebuilt from the ashes. But the key here is that unlike in the past, slavery has been outlawed for over 300 years. For the vast majority of people, the only ones left really purchasing slaves are those in the black market and celestial dragons, who have been defeated. I think that the world's perception of non-humans may drastically change if these people are all, in part, saved by them. Luffy and his crew, the Grand Fleet, the pirates, marines, countries and peoples he has befriended by his side, left in the face of one final confrontation to decide who is actually the Pirate King, and simultaneously the fate of the world itself. But yeah guys, this was a very long video that took quite a while, a long time to make. If you guys made it to the end and enjoyed it, please share it with your friends, that'd be much appreciated. But yeah, as always guys, I'm curious as to what you guys think. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video if you liked the video, dislike the video if you disliked the video, subscribe if you want to be notified for my future content, and as always guys, have a wonderful day.